I'm Vardha Sharma, Editor-in-Chief, Stree News, an online publication that showcases women-led initiatives from across the globe. First of all, I would like to thank each one of you for the overwhelming response that our live Facebook discussions are getting. As promised, we are now having a series of Facebook discussions on the behavioral problems in children. Today, we will be talking on dyslexia, facts and myths. We have with us Dr. Anjana Thadani. She is consulting developmental pediatrician and director, Miramai Hospitals, Mumbai, Navi Mumbai. Welcome, Dr. Anjana.
Thank you. It's really a pleasure to be with you and be able to connect with so many of you.
So, Dr. Anjana, first of all, please let us know what exactly is dyslexia.
See, dyslexia is generally, perceived as a problem with learning. Now, dyslexia is usually a neurodisability wherein the child has difficulty in reading, writing or maths. So, it comes in three domains of reading, writing and maths. It could present as early as, I would say, pre-primary years. The child is not able to learn alphabets, child is not able to identify letters, alphabets very early. Up to, it can come much later in adolescent also. Identified much later.
I don't know, as we are saying that we are talking about facts and myths. It is believed that, dyslexia is also, it's a visual issue. Is this correct?
See, it's not exactly a visual issue. See, dyslexia is a problem with information processing. When we gather information in a formal learning process, the information, what do we do with the information? We read something or we hear something. Then our brain tries to assimilate all the information, process all the information, and then we either learn something, store it in the memory, and then whenever it is needed, it is ready for recall or retrieval. Now what happens, the children with dyslexia generally would have a problem with the visual recognition, visual processing as well as auditory processing. So they have problem with that. So they're not able to identify the form with the sound.
Okay.
So that's why they get confused between the alphabets, and hence that confusion goes to spellings as well. So those kind of problems are.
So how can parents identify such problems? Is it possible for them to know if the child is really suffering from dyslexia? Because we tend to ignore, basically because we do not know about it. So how can we really understand this?
See, parents can identify early now with a lot of awareness, especially in metros like Mumbai. There's a lot of awareness. So parents are aware that there's something wrong with the child, because the child in initial days not learning alphabets, not learning numbers, has problem in sequencing. So if he's writing numbers, he's missing on numbers in between.
Okay.
He's mixing the capital and small case alphabets. He's writing mirror images, B and D. Okay, so the problem is with the directionality. He makes a line, he doesn't know which way to go. So those kind of problems are already happening with the child. Child has difficulty in learning basic concepts of time, money, calendar, and sequencing in numbers, before number, after number, in between numbers. So child doesn't know. There's a number written, child doesn't know which is the before number, which is the after number. They have problem with ascending order, descending order of numbers, learning tables. So these are a lot of problems which could come at any point of time, and they would usually come very early in children.
So you feel even with the children at an elder children can also
Yes.
show such symptoms?
See, elder children will show more difficult problems because they've already missed, they've somehow figured out all this information because they weren't addressed earlier. So what happens is now these children would present with mainly spelling mistakes, comprehension issues, then they will have problem in written expression, they will have problem in mathematics, basic calculation errors would come up. Word problems, application-based problems in maths. So they'll have a lot of those kind of issues would come up.
Okay, it says that dyslexia impacts learning, basically. Is it true that it also impacts intelligence?
No, in fact that's a complete myth, and everybody is put together. They feel if the child cannot learn, most of the parents will come and tell me, my child is not learning, he is a slow learner. Now technically slow learner are the children who have below average intelligence.
Okay.
And the children with dyslexia definitely have an average or above average intelligence.
I see. Okay.
So that's a big differentiating factor.
Okay.
So what happens in children with dyslexia, they're average and above average IQ. They have the ability to learn, but because their information processing circuit is not proper in the brain, they are not able to learn. So there is a gap between the potential to learn and actual, what have they achieved. And that's the difference between a slow learner or a child with intellectual disability, wherein the overall capacity to learn is less.
I see, and I guess a very big role can be played by the teachers as well. I mean, if they can identify such children and if help can be provided at an early stage.
Yes. See, one good thing is that teachers are now aware. During our times, I would say, much earlier, the teachers were not even aware of what was happening with these children. But teachers are aware. Now, the role of teachers is very crucial because first they have to screen these children, identify them in the classroom, and provide support in the classroom.
Right.
And good thing now is that quite a few schools also have counselors.
I see.
So they help in screening, talking. They're like a bridge between the teachers and the parents and the child.
So how can the professionals really help? I mean, what should the parents do when they realize that the child is having such problems, such issues? So whom to go to and what type of help can be rendered to such children?
See, once the parents understand the problem, I think the first step is accepting the problem.
Okay.
That is the biggest challenge which we face as professionals. Sometimes the parents are sent by school, so they come with a negative attitude and all of that. So that is something which the parents need to first understand. My child has a difficulty and I need to help my child. That acceptance itself, it is like you taking your child and the child comes across a hurdle. What do? You basically hold your child's hand and let him cross that. This is exactly what should happen. What should be the attitude of parents? So now if the parents feel that the child is not able to learn, the first step is meeting a professional who has experience. Usually there are a lot of pediatricians, we call them, like a developmental pediatrician like me could be there. Counselors are there who could help. So what happens is we basically do the preliminary assessment of doing an IQ, doing a educational assessment, figuring out where is the problem, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, and then work around the child, and the child eventually does much better.
Are there any other issues which can occur with dyslexia?
Yeah. See, the other commonest co-occurring problem is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So, which we call very hyperactive children who are inattentive, not able to pay, any attention or concentration in the class. So that's very common. Besides this, the children may show a lot of aggression. The children may show a lot of depression or anxiety. I also see a lot of school phobias or school refusals in younger children, especially.
Okay.
They just don't want to go to school because they're scared. They don't understand, and they're scared of teachers because they're not writing properly.
Yeah.
Though of course the schools are very considerate. These days, as it was earlier. There's hardly any punishment given to children. But still, what happens is there is a phobia, there's a fear, avoidance of not wanting to go to school.
Right. So basically, here we need a lot of support and a lot of encouragement from all people, whether it's parents or whether it's teachers, so that we understand the issues, so that it doesn't get more complicated. Do you feel that if not handled at an earlier stage, it can become more complicated?
See, what basic problem is that the learning suffers over a period of time. So if I see a child who's come to me, say in 2nd standard, he has issues with reading and writing, and the parents are aware and we do an assessment, I would see a learning gap of probably 2 years, 3 years. But the same child has stopped learning at a certain level. He has not been given support as far as different ways of teaching him, and hence the learning suffers. So when this child comes to me probably in 8th or 9th standard, I see a learning gap of 5-6 years. And I actually see children who are in 10th standard or 9th standard failed, who cannot even write one paragraph by themselves. So there are like so many spelling mistakes, there's not even one proper sentence formation. Now these children have picked up earlier, a lot of support could have been given to them. So that I think is a major issue what we see.
So I guess, of course, many of the schools are having counselors these days, but I think it is very essential that every school should have counselors.
That's mandatory, and it is really helpful to have a counselor in school.
And since it is not, as you said, that it can be a problem with any age group, children of any age group. So I mean, I think the parents should be more careful, or maybe they should not ignore such an issue if they have if they see in the children. And as we said, that it is certainly nothing to do with intelligence. So I think
Absolutely,
that is because what happens is that when they say, what we do is that the child is very intelligent, he's doing extremely well, but very careless. We take it as a in a form of
Absolutely.
carelessness. But I think if it is repeated on a regular basis, it should not be taken as a carelessness, I guess.
See, there are 2 points here. Which now this child is an intelligent child.
Yeah.
It's an average intelligent child. So this child is doing very well in other spheres. So since it's a learning disability, it comes only when somebody is learning.
Yeah.
It will manifest only when it's learning. See, if I have a problem with walking while I'm sitting,
It's
it's
okay.
perfectly fine.
Mm.
The moment I start walking, that will manifest.
Right.
Similarly, learning disability is something when the child is absolutely normal.
Uh-huh.
There's no problem at all. He looks normal, he behaves normal, he's intelligent to do everything else. Then, why the problem in learning? Because it's a learning disability.
Right.
So that is something which parents kind of don't understand, no?
Don't understand. So basically, we will it will show more clearly when it comes to maths, I guess.
See, there are 3 types.
Okay.
As I said, reading, writing, and maths.
Hmm.
So one actually reading problem is called as dyslexia.
Okay.
Writing problem is called as dysgraphia,
Okay.
and maths problem is called as dyscalculia.
Okay.
So there are 3 different terms which are used,
Okay.
but we all tend to put it all together as
As one.
dyslexia, as one umbrella term.
Okay. So the children can have different problems, or is it
Yes, they could have. They could have different problems. They could have all 3 together. They could have only 2. It could
Okay.
be different combinations.
and it is nothing not so alarming, and I think the parents should not feel so alarmed because help is there, and
Yes.
it can be
Yes.
rectified definitely. Is there any ways, I mean, how do the professionals usually do, and what type of
Help is available.
help is available?
See, 2 things what helps. Mainly one, if the problem is very severe and the child is coming very early, I look at it from 2 angles. One, if it is coming too early, parents are alarmed, they come for help. The child gets a long period of help. So 3-4 years, if somebody is working on the child improves much better.
Okay.
No. So even if it's a severe problem, it can be managed well. Okay. Now the kind of help which is required is, one, you need a special educator who would be able to teach the child in the way the child is able to learn.
Okay.
That's the role of the special educator. So they kind of see the gap which is created in the child's learning, and based on that they make an individual education plan for the child and work towards with setting periodic goals again and again. Another person who comes very handy in helping these children are occupational therapists, who are basically helping children to write properly. So
Okay.
they work on the fine motor skills and all of that.
All
Okay.
right.
So that is what happens.
Okay.
And sometimes, of course, the role of a counselor is important as well. First step is definitely doing an assessment. Then we move on to remediation. This length could be depending on somewhere from 2 years to 3 years, 5 years also.
Okay. All right. So, as we said, once again, we tell all the parents that it's not alarming, definitely, and but at the same time should not be ignored. And children who are showing such symptoms, they need encouragement, they need help, and we have our counselors in schools, and we also have clinical, developmental pediatrician like Dr. Anjana. So do visit such doctors, and I think it's something that all parents and the teachers should be aware of. I think thank you so much, Dr. Anjana, and we are going to have another discussion very soon. We will let you know. Thank you once again.